So, what I'm going to argue is that people are looking at this from the wrong perspective. Education and knowledge is incredibly important, but the end result is someone coming up with a new idea. And all knowledge is the collection of ideas that we've deemed typically preferable ideas versus bad ideas. So, all throughout human history, one person has a good idea, or another human person has another good idea. Most people love to talk about, like, all we ever do is reinvent the wheel. And that's kind of what it is. Someone has a kernel of an idea, and it blossoms into something that becomes incredibly useful in our lives, such as the wheel. You can even go back to like the Aztecs and Mayans. In America, no one figured out the wheel, and it's kind of odd.
Almost
and how
60%
useful it
of
is.
Georgian population is employed in agriculture, and most of it is comprised of
So,
unskilled labor
most
force
people in
without
the
any
United
proper
States are
training
not
and with the corresponding
in
low level of
agriculture.
output. Now,
So this one
the
doesn't work
question going
for
forward is, can Georgia
most
transform itself
people unless
from
you're in the
a
third
agrarian
world.
economy to a knowledge-based economy?
And
that
once
way,
again, a
privacy
knowledge-based
can be the
economy.
market.
Okay. That's great. You can take two individuals and give them the same knowledge. And one is going to be better than the other because one is going to take that knowledge and have better ideas from it. So we don't need to go to a knowledge-based economy. We need to go to an idea-based economy. I mean, a knowledge-based is what? We're going to purely focus on education? I mean, that's great for the production of ideas, but what's the end result? Knowledge? Books? I mean, it doesn't make sense that if you are ignoring what is the driving force of everything throughout human history is an idea. And the ability to express that idea to other people. That is what makes us different from any other creature on this planet, is we get ideas. And other animals might have ideas, but they're not able to then hold on to it and teach those ideas generation after generation after generation. So, once again, this is kind of hitting towards the right mark. Knowledge-based economy is smart in one aspect, but you're ignoring the elephant in the room, that it's ideas.
That's the big question. But let's first start by explaining what we mean by knowledge economy. Well, if other sectors of the economy are composed of agriculture, or so-called primary sector, manufacturing, the secondary sector, and services industry, the tertiary sector, the knowledge economy bases itself in education.
Okay, take the service economy in the United States, which most people are saying is the biggest aspect. If I go out to a restaurant, how people interact with me, how they think and decide how to try to sell me a burrito or a hamburger or whatever is their thought process. They go out and they have a thought process of, I'm going to try to sell it in a friendly way. I'm going to come to you and say, oh, how is your day today? Versus another person who just frops up there. That is what's going on in a person's mind. And the ability to get people to realize they have to think about how their interaction is with another person and how they would want to be generates ideas in their head of how to try to get someone to enjoy things. So, like a waitress is an idea. Going back, you teach people how to cook, but they have to have proper ideas while they're there to do things properly. And what makes someone cook better than another person is the ideas they have of how to cook that product. How to present that product are their ideas. You could teach anyone just to slap things on and just hand it to you, but people enjoy presentation when they go out and eat. So the service industry is driven by people who are having better ideas of how to do those services, and that's how they become successful, versus people who have bad ideas and go out of business.
And human capital. In other words,
And once again, human capital is basically all that we've ever had as a society. And their ideas is what's important in that human capital. It's not just having humans and teaching them something. They have to learn how to have proper ideas. They have to develop their imagination. They have to think outside of certain things to come up with new and more innovative ways of doing anything. And it's the ideas that need to be the driving force. We need to stop thinking about a service-based economy. And I would argue that we're not even really a service-based economy, that we have been being, and right now we're going down the road of just being a marketing-based economy, where everyone's there to just try to market something to you. And it's just going back, eventually it's an actual physical object that you're supposed to exchange money for. And it's not expressing new ideas. You're just supposed to try to market. You're just supposed to be the biggest consumer, or the person who's trying to sell the biggest level of consumption to other people. And more, we're seeing little tidbits of people developing slightly different ways of doing stuff. Patreon. When people go to a Patreon page and they donate to a person who they like their ideas, how they're expressing them. That is vastly a counterculture aspect of how everything else is being displayed. For me to be on YouTube, I have to get you to watch so that they can try to sell you something. However, if the whole goal of Facebook or YouTube or whatever was to try to generate ideas, and those ideas were basically what they were after, I think we would have a better society. We wouldn't have like Facebook just trying to figure out how to make you better consumers. They'd be trying to figure out how to generate ideas that they could then actually probably copyright, given the parameters of the society that we live in these mega corporations. I can't figure out, given the world that we live in, any other way that a creator, an idea person, would need to actually share some level with a corporation so that people could actually get paid for their ideas and they wouldn't get completely ripped off. Meaning, my biggest idea is people need to develop a thing where basically if you post a concept or an idea, it's viewed as copyrighted once you put it on a platform, as long as it's fully new and just your idea or just your new way of doing something. That it becomes something, and then when someone else sees that, then you can be given something for your ideas. And that if you generated an economy that started figuring out how to monetize, basically given the parameters that we are living in, ideas, which you could easily do via like aspects of copyright today. If I go there and I have a brilliant idea and I go and make a video of it and show you this brilliant idea, and it becomes copyrighted, meaning that if other people start using it, they have to give some tiny level, and it doesn't have to be a large amount. If you had an idea that everyone in the world eventually did, if you had like 1/10 of a cent attached to the end product or whatever it is, that would be crazy levels of money. And so basically you change corporations into these things that they are today, and all they are doing is trying to battle each other to protect your individual ideas and how much you would get. My idea is we need to develop a way to post things that would probably start out being more like GoFundMe pages, but when you post these ideas, they're viewed as copyright unless other people can prove that someone else already has copywritten your idea. And the only aspect of this that becomes incredibly confusing is when a plethora of people, many people, have the same idea. That's it. That's the only aspect. And the whole point of the corporation, like YouTube or Facebook or Amazon or whatever, if you posted a concept to one of their platforms and you made it into law, that basically they get the even cut with the original creator. So all they could ever get is what you get for your lifetime, and that's it. And then probably, and it could be for your lifetime, it could be for 10 years, you could go in and figure out whatever laws. But you go back, and the problem is we are not figuring out how to monetize ideas, i.e. make ideas the driving force of the economy, and instead we are making marketing the driving force of our economy. So all you see on YouTube is a bunch of people doing silly stuff to try to get you to watch ads. And that's about it. Or they're doing silly stuff and they have a product in the background. And they're just trying to market. And all we have become, and all we are at this moment headed towards, from the way the corporations are doing it, is a marketing-based economy.
We are talking about big investments in education, creation of knowledge, and research institutions that makes it possible for the country to raise the standard of living in the long term. There are dozens of countries which have done so in the recent past, starting from Israel, which moved from production of oranges and kiwis to high-tech products such as Google's auto.
Could you imagine if you're a person in the third world, you're just someone who is living there, and you get internet access, and you have a brilliant idea that could generate millions upon millions of dollars. And that idea then goes back to you, and you get millions of dollars in a third world country, where you can then actually think, oh, I can start investing in all these people around me, or whatever. That would be the way to actually do what we're calling industrialization, but you would advance that society faster. And the whole goal of people there would be to try to figure out new ideas. So instead of the way that we're doing it, if we have the internet now, people can express ideas, and if 7 billion people were out there trying to use their thought processes to try to make the world whatever, trying to improve whatever they've come up with improving, or a new idea, if that's all we were doing, then the internet would act more like a hive brain of innovation versus what it is today, which is just people pretty much doing silly crap to get you to watch them. That's just trying to sell you stuff everywhere. And so all we're doing across the world is becoming a marketing society where we are just little clowns there to try to get you to buy something. And basically the model is the pyramid scam, because not everyone can sell you something. You can't just earn money for selling someone an M&M. If everyone's trying to sell everyone else an M&M, the economy's not going to work like that. You have to have different things going on.
Suggest Korea, which now produces world-known brands like Samsung and Hyundai. Costa Rica, which is home to production base of Intel's semiconductor industry, and many other examples of such kind. Now, what is needed to achieve such transformation? Step number 1 is to have a large-scale investments in education system of the country. In this regard, Georgia has obvious deficits, as teachers and professors belong to the work.
Okay. That would be better for a country. However, step 1 of idea-based economy, okay? You create a platform that would work like a global copyright. And that's it. That's just step 1, is you make a system where if I post something to the internet on a variety of platforms, and some of these platforms could be state-based if they wanted. If you were living in the Netherlands, and instead of YouTube, the Netherlands wants you to post it to their platform, and then the government then takes the cut, and that might be, for those countries, more effective. If basically you create a weird invention tax that generates most of the income in your given country. You could do it that way. So if the inventor, gets like 5% of whatever this is that's generating income that I've produced, be it I'm arguing for my brand of shoes. Or if I'm just sitting here as a person who day after day teaches you something and you find that and then they just do the traditional ad revenue. You could create platforms like that where basically the government apparatus is paid for huge sums by people's innovation. And then they can reinvest. And all you really need in an idea-based economy is a platform that would patent basically your idea. It would protect your idea and the monetization ability of your idea. And then the biggest thing that you knew, education is a big aspect of getting people to think differently and to know certain things if done properly. And so you need certain levels of education. But kids would be more into education or things if the biggest people, the richest people on the planet were the most innovative people. If your heroes were people that were more Albert Einstein, coming up with new and brilliant ways of changing the world, if those were your heroes, if you wanted to wake up today and be one of those people, you would have a more interesting society. Because my nieces just want to do YouTube videos and just be a YouTube star. Because that's our society at this moment. And that is who they see are the best people in society as they see fit. People who go on YouTube and really make it are the rags to riches stories, it seems like, in the country right now. Especially during this pandemic. That's pretty much the best way to actually generate income is to go on YouTube and try to become a star. And you could alter it in a way that you generate income off of ideas. And YouTube could literally have an area that would be this. That would be an idea video thing where you would go on there and it wouldn't be for entertainment value. And anyone who wanted to go and look at those videos and your arguments of we should be doing it this way would click on a different tab. And that would be the copyright aspect of it. You would post videos specifically on platforms there. And that would be an idea-based economy. Ideaism is the argument that we need to focus on the concept of ideas, that human ingenuity, everything that has ever made humanity what it is an idea. And then other people having other ideas off of that base idea, that base concept, changes the world, and then new innovation happens.
First paid group category in the labor force. Step number 2 is to have investments in research institutions. The country has to start funding these institutions, and they should be tied to universities, the place where the knowledge is created. Step number 3. Private sector should closely cooperate with universities, as it incentivizes the professors to work in the areas that have economic potential, making it more likely that discoveries can be transformed into marketable products and lead to economic growth.
Once again, idea. I have an idea, and someone sees it, and then they take my idea. Like right now, what I'm doing. If someone saw my idea, my video, and they sat here and they argued for them doing it this way would be better. Guess what? You just had an idea too. So my base idea has a worth. Your improvement to my concept has a worth. The person who has the factory or whatever to make or process or advance certain ideas would have a worth of how to do that. The people working in those factories would have to use their minds and their skills to do these things, and many of them would probably have a better solution. And then you would reward those people. If they had a better idea, they could literally just post a video, post it on it that we should be doing it this way in this factory. And then that would just guarantee that, oh, I got that idea. And so everything would just help make people think about how to improve everything around them constantly. Because if that's how you get more money in a society, is coming up with brilliant ideas. People have ideas all the time. Everyone on this planet has at least one brilliant idea during their lifetime. I believe that. I believe everyone has one idea, one concept that is brilliant. The problem is, what's the point of ever doing it? I've worked at places and had ideas, and I thought, oh well, we'll just keep doing it this way. So I think that this guy, and this makes it more elitist. This guy's version, it's not a bad idea, but you have to get an education. You have to go to college. You have to have a specific degree. And then you have to go in to certain little research facilities. And this is a very archaic version. Not everyone has the ability to become an advanced researcher. However, if you limit the ability for people to innovate as those people in those little blocks, I think that's a failure. I think this guy has a silly notion, and I'm going to bash on communism, but this is kind of a very, I don't know, Marxist, or I don't know if it's Marxist. I do not know the different terms. I apologize. And some people who watch this who do probably are going to hate this. But the USSR seemed to try to do this. So you would designate, you are people who are farmers. It became like, initially it became a caste system. And then you would go to university, and if you got high enough marks, then you could go here. Otherwise, bam, farmer, bam, worker in a factory. And so then you had this caste system of laborers and then the innovators. And I don't want that. I don't want to create a caste system where basically you have to go through this process. No matter if you have a good idea or what, you have to go through all of this and to a certain field to express that idea. This is a caste system that this guy is generating. You will have to go to university, and you'll have to go in this box here. Well, what happens if I'm in a different box? I am a person that's stuck in agriculture research. However, I have a brilliant way of changing factories. But I'm in agriculture, and the researchers in, factory improvement are stuck there. So I shouldn't be able to talk because I'm not an expert in that field, is kind of how it will go. Oh, no, shut up. All you know about is agriculture. Why are you coming over here? And then your ideas fail. I'm not saying every aspect of this guy's concept is horrible. I'm saying that this is how you develop weird little castes of people that are stuck in little boxes. And I'm saying that is rubbish. I'm saying we have the internet. I can make a video. I can record myself and make an argument for whatever idea I have. The problem is, what's the point of me giving ideas to the world when I will see nothing from that? I might as well just keep my nose down and just do whatever else than trying to think about or giving. If I think I have one good idea, I'm never going to try to share it. Because if I ever figure out a way how to monetize it, then that one good idea will be my little ticket. And a lot of people are holding on to brilliant ideas because they know that if they just throw it out in the world, then some mega corporation finally sees it and they'll never, ever see anything of it. Or the reverse of that is a corporation that's producing all these things will destroy a new idea. Because they're making too much money to change that little bit. If they can keep selling you a rubbish product, they will keep selling you a rubbish product, even if someone has a brilliant idea. And they will try to destroy that brilliant idea time and time again. Because right now it affects their personal model.
On the question whether such transformation would take long, the history tells us that the range could start from 20 years and go up to 30 years. But at the same time, many development economies believe
And
that
if
it's
all you
possible
did was try to
skip
get people
certain
the
development
internet
stages,
and a way for them
or
to
employing
protect
so-called
their
inbreeding
ideas,
theory. For instance,
it would be
some countries
it
in
wouldn't
the
take
past
20 years.
have moved from a situation without telephones to having mobile networks.
Some
Living
person
out the stage
in
of
any
landline
part of the
technology.
world can have a world-changing
In a
idea.
today's hyper-connected world, it is highly likely that some leapfrogging will take place in the Caucasus.
And I
But
have
don't
no clue what
forget
this
the
guy is
key
talking
to all
about.
these. Investments in education, and again education, is what is needed to make this happen.
Education is important. I'm not going to disagree that education is important, but people can be educated in many different ways. A lot of education can actually happen in a school. I've gone to culinary school, and it gives you a lot of base knowledge, but it's nothing like cooking in the real field. There is hands-on experience that educates you in ways that blows your mind when you really, really realize it. A degree in most fields does not actually educate you on the day-to-day business of those industries. Hands-on experience is just as important as the knowledge that you'll ever obtain from any university. And to try to put one aspect of that above another is silly. And that's one of the problems with this. And if you just keep stamping down and you create little ways of people being stuck in different boxes, I would argue that that was one of the reasons why people who argue for socialism or communism, why that failed, is because when they were trying to place people in different boxes, you don't have the ability to share ideas as well. And it actually hurts you. You can educate people and you can advance amazingly far. But the ability to share ideas is what changes the world. It always has been. Thank you so much for your time. I think you are a brilliant person who has one brilliant or 1,000 brilliant ideas. I would love for people to start grasping we need to go to an idea-based economy. We need ideaism. That's what we need. We don't need capitalism. We don't need socialism. We don't need communism. We don't need feudalism. We need ideaism. Thank you.